everyone. I am JJ Dixon, and we are here for another round of talks with some of our retired officers from the Sheriff's Office here in Jacksonville, Florida. I am here on behalf of the Jacksonville Brotherhood of Police Officers to give you some historical knowledge and information about the past of the officers that are members of our organization. So today I'm here with retired Officer Adam Fluker. How you doing, Junior? Adam Fluker Jr. See, I just learned something within the first 2 minutes. I never knew you were a junior.
Yeah, it's three more of us.
I knew that you had a son that had that name, but I never knew that you were a grandson with that name. Wow. So we're here with Adam Fluker Jr., retired officer, and it's amazing because you just retired.
After 61 years.
After 61 years, you just retired from the city of Jacksonville and Sheriff's Office.
Yes.
That's amazing. And you don't look over 61 years old, if I must say so myself.
What you want?
You look great. Well, I want to start, Mr. Fluker, by Officer Fluker, by, just give us a quick introduction of who Adam Fluker Jr. is.
Adam Fluker Jr. is a young guy that was always wanted to be a policeman because I was a schoolboy patrol when I was 6.
Me too.
And I went to high school and I got into the police club in high school because I wanted to be a police officer. It was Sergeant Hickson and Sergeant Kendall was in charge of that part of it. And I was hired in 1963, and I was a political hire. Me and a guy named Clarence Sullivan, and we were hired in the Hayden Burns era, and they hired us to get them votes at that time too, because it was election time, and they kept us on the waiting list until voting time. But it was a good career choice for me. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
That's awesome. So you mentioned Sergeant Hickson and Sergeant Kendall. They were, I remember the names because they were in the first set of African Americans that were hired. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So they came on, I guess, in the 50s?
Yeah.
And then you came on in the early 60s?
63.
Amazing. Wow. That's
March the 16th, 1963. I was hired a week early because I was scheduled to be hired on the 23rd of March. But I had a job that when the lieutenant called over and asked me that I want to still be a policeman, my boss was listening in on the line, and when he told me I was hired as a policeman, they fired me.
Oh, Lord.
They were listening in. When I got off the phone, the man called me and told me, say, "Oh, you going to be a policeman?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, we don't need you no more."
Wow.
So I called the lieutenant back. Smokey McCullough was his name. I called him back and told him that they had fired me. So he said, "Well, come to work Monday."
And what was that, like on a Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
Wow.
So I was fired for 2 days.
And went on to your dream job and stayed there for the next 61 years. That's something else. So what class, if you can remember, what class, because I'm trying to tap into this from the historical perspective. I know that Sergeant Anderson and Kendall were in the first class, the first group, but I've seen pictures of the first group, the second group, and the third group. So do you remember what group you were in?
I had to be in about the 6th group because they hired like 4 before me. They hired Wiggins and 2 or 3 other guys. Then they hired Sam Washington and Albie Grissom. And then they hired Clarence Sullivan and me. So it was 2.
So it was just the 2 of you that came on at one time?
Yeah, 2.
Wow.
They had 2, and I guess I don't know how many with Wilbur Williams, but it will be a couple of guys hired. So I figure I was probably about in the 6th group. Excuse me.
So a class was, we say class, but that was 2 people.
2 people in a class of 16. I think it was like 16 in the class I was in, and they were all white except me and Sullivan.
Okay. When you started, Was there a particular area that you had to patrol, or were y'all free to roam the whole
Oh
city?
no, it was segregated.
Oh, that's right.
We worked in the downtown area, Ashley Street, Davis Street, Beaver, Church, Duval, Monroe. That was our area. And we didn't go across Broad Street toward Clay. Broad Street was our cutoff. Adams Street was our cutoff going south. North was Myrtle Avenue. And we had walking beats. We didn't have cars. We had 2 cars for the whole black precinct. The cars patrolled from Broad to Spires on the downtown area.
And there were black officers driving the car.
Yeah, and
Excuse me.
from Kings Road to Moncrief, where the railroad track is by Earth to White Mission.
Yep.
That was our cutoff, because that was county back across there. We didn't go into the county unless we were chasing somebody in hot pursuit. We could go into the county, but other than that,
Well, you didn't get to go into the county because you'd be hot pursuit on foot, huh?
yeah, I couldn't run that far. And we didn't have radios.
So I was going to ask you, if you didn't have a car, how did you arrest somebody?
Well, there was a call box on the corner of Broad and Ashley, and one at, I believe, Monroe and Davis, and another one on Beaver and Davis. So they were widespread. If we arrested somebody on, I'm gonna say Jefferson and say Union, we had to get that person to the call box.
Wow.
Sometimes we got them there, and sometimes they got away. We have to fight.
Wow.
Sometimes they do go peacefully.
So I'm just trying to envision this in my mind. You would arrest someone for a crime. You would notify them that they're under arrest. You would have to get them handcuffed and under control. And then you would have to somehow convince them to walk to the box to call for somebody to come and take them to jail.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sometimes they didn't want to go.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't.
So they would struggle, fight, whatever. Sometimes we let them go.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to hurt them for peeing in the street or being drunk. So rather than hurt them, you just turn them loose.
And you probably knew who they were anyway, right?
Yeah, you see them again the next day or sometime during the week. I got reprimanded because I wouldn't shoot a guy that was robbing a man in a strong arm robbery. And the guy asked me, why didn't you shoot him? I said, because I know him. He's a junkie. I'll get him tomorrow. And I did.
Wow.
So I survived that.
Yeah. Law enforcement has changed a lot. So you didn't have a vehicle, police vehicle. You didn't have a police radio.
No.
What kind of, did you have a gun?
Yeah.
What kind of gun did you have?
We had a 6-shot revolver. And I was chasing a guy one day, and the holster was so dilapidated, it wouldn't hold the gun. I had to hold a gun while I'm running. And then one time I was running behind a guy, and the lock came off, and my gun was in the dirt.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm running behind a suspect, so I had to stop to pick up my gun while he running.
Oh my goodness.
He got away.
It was rough back then. It was rough back then, because what you're telling me, and I was an officer up until 2014, is unheard of. That you wouldn't have the proper equipment. You wouldn't have a holster that was able to keep your gun in place while you were working. Wow. So tell me, I've heard this story. I've heard some stories from other officers that started back in the 60s and the late 50 era. They're deceased now. But I have been told that there were certain individuals that you could and could not arrest. Is that true?
It's true. We had a segregated department for us. We worked over off of Davis Street. The earlier ones before us worked out of the bathroom area of the Jefferson Street pool. They had a precinct in that pool. Then they moved it over into the Blodgett homes, and we was on Davis Street. They had a segregated section over there for us, and we couldn't arrest Caucasians.
Mm-hmm.
If we arrested a Caucasian, we had to call and tell the lieutenant or the sergeant, whoever was in charge, we got a white person detained. Mm-hmm. And he would send somebody, or he would come and hear what the story was, and he decided whether or not that person would be arrested. And when he decided whether or not that person would be arrested, they would call a white car come and get them and take them to jail.
Okay. So you had enough authority to stop someone and get a story, but then you had to call someone else and relay the story and see if they felt that it was necessary.
Yes.
Wow. So you saw that change though over the years.
Oh yeah. We me and my partner, we were walking on the corner of Ashley and Madison, and 3 white boys driving a car swerved over to try to hit us or scare us. Mm. And we had a car parked there used to be a Burger King there on that corner. And we had our car parked over there because we didn't ride in the car. That was in case we did arrest somebody, that car was there for that purpose. So we jumped in the car and ran them down, called them. Well, we didn't call the sergeant or the lieutenant. We took them down. Well, needless to say, we were in there being questioned while they was walking down the street going home.
Oh, my goodness.
We didn't have the authority to arrest them, so they turned them loose before we even got them booked. Yeah, we had to answer a lot of questions about that, but we survived it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's no secret that the way that things used to be then, and it's no secret that segregation existed. I think what we all want to know is how were you able to get past that? How were you able to, because you ended up staying with the sheriff's office for many years after that era. So I think what we all want to know is how did you mentally, how were you able to get past that era?
One of my co-workers, I was kind of strong-headed and rebellious at times, and he called me to the side. His name was Sam Washington. He was a pastor, and he told me, "Son, you want to keep your job?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, you're gonna have to learn to roll with the tide or get washed away with the flood."
Wow.
He said, "Come to work, do what you got to do, and go home." And he said, "Stop being bull-headed if you want to keep this job." He said, "Because you got nobody to turn to." We had no black lieutenant. We had no black captain. We had no black chief. So when you got in trouble, you didn't have nobody to back you or stand up for you. And I learned my lesson. I learned it the hard way. I was on a walking beat, and I saw somebody doing something, and I decided to intervene because they were doing it in my presence.
Right.
So I decided I was going to make an example out of him, and when I put him under arrest, somebody called the station and told them I was putting this man under arrest. Well, before I could put him under arrest or get him into a car, I was called by a supervisor that he's not going to be put in jail today because he is a policeman's friend.
Wow.
And I said, well, he's gambling in front of me. They're selling numbers. And they paying pool for money right in front of me. I said, I want to put him in jail. He said, no, not today. And I said, why? Well, that was the wrong thing. I said, why? And I was working from 7 to 3 in the morning.
Had a good shift.
I had a good shift. My shift changed right then. That man told me, go home, come back tonight at 11. It was freezing.
Same day?
Same day. It was freezing. It was so cold.
Wow.
And we didn't have no jackets. We had those little windbreakers like in the Army or Air Force. And I regretted it.
Instantly, right? Instantly.
I regretted it because I was on a 1-block beat. Are you familiar with Beaver Street?
Yes.
I was on a block from Beaver to Union on Davis.
Oh my goodness.
With nothing in that block but me. They had a barbecue stand named Southern Barbecue. They used to call him Nasty Man. He had the best old barbecue in town. And he stayed open about 2. But my beat was from 11 to 7.
It was a long night, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they had a bar, but they closed at 12 o'clock back then. They didn't stay open to 2. And so there wasn't nobody in that block but me. And I had to walk down to Union, cross over, come back up to Beaver, cross over. Sometimes I was diagonally. I crossed in the middle of the street, you know.
Make it fun, huh?
Yeah. No bathrooms in that block. And the watch supervisor would sit down the street and watch me sometime during the night, make sure I didn't get off my beat.
Right.
Because if I got off my beat, I would be in trouble. So I had to suffer for a while. And then I did that about 2-3 months. He came up to me and said, son, you ready to go back to your beat? I said, yes, sir. He said, can you see and don't see? I said, yes, sir.
Been blind ever since, right?
When I would walk by that place where I was trying to put that man in jail.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't look in there. I passed right on by there.
So you learned.
Oh, I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
It was tough.
And, you know, some would say, well, that's a shame. You should have been allowed to do, but you understood what the rules were.
The rules were, yeah.
And you had to abide by that.
Yeah, we had nobody other than a sergeant. And sergeants were tokens. They made them sergeants because they needed some black representation for us, the black patrolmen. But we didn't even, we had a couple of sergeants that were appointed to be captains, but it was such a stink. They took that rank away so fast, you didn't even know it was there.
Really?
Yeah, we had a couple of captains, but they didn't get it through promotions. They got it through appointment. So they took it away from them. It was a big discrepancy there. It was rough on everybody.
So the chief stepped down from the positions of chief.
we had 2 of them step away.
Wow. Do you remember about what decade it was when you started to see change, started to see things shift to where it wasn't all of that, where you all didn't have the resources that you needed to do your job, but you started seeing yourself?
But when they integrated the cars, I don't know what year it was, probably in the 70s. They integrated the cars. Well, that was a big stink for a while because we had several white guys that refused to ride with a black person, and they quit their jobs rather than ride with us. I remember one man telling me straight up, I'm not going to ride with no nigga. Well, no problem with me. Yeah. I'm going to ride with you if you ride, but if you don't want to ride, okay.
Right.
And he quit his job before he ride with one of us.
Wow.
But overall, things got better.
Yeah.
They had a big stink in the 60s. They had a crackdown on corruption. We had policemen that got in trouble in that time because I think something like 22 policemen got arrested in that era. They was taking Goleta money and moonshine several other things that they were doing, but it got better. That opened a lot of people's eyes that couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made people realize, black and white, that there were certain things that were not going to be tolerated of the police.
I was working with this one fella, and we had a big disturbance at the corner of Madison and Ashley. And people gathered all around. You know, I couldn't work with him but that one time because he held court on the corner. He fined the people.
Say that again.
He held court on the corner. You know how you separate the girl from the guy? Well, he took the guy and walked around the corner and told me to stay here with the lady. So I stayed there with the lady, and he went around the corner and talked to the man and got an understanding that everything was all right. And he come back and told me we gonna let him go. I said, let him go? I said, all that hell they done raised and all these people that gathered around yeah, but I'm gonna let him go. I'm the boss. You know, he was the senior officer. I was a rookie. I said, okay. So after they got away, he walked over and he handed me $2 or something. Put this in your pocket and buy you a sandwich. I told him, no. I said, whatever happened, it's on you.
Yeah.
I say, I ain't gonna lose my job for no damn $2.
Yeah.
Anyway, that didn't go over so good because he went around and he told the other officers, y'all can't work with that rookie because he ain't gonna take nothing. You got to be careful with him. And so I called hell trying to get a partner because they didn't want to work with me. So they put me on the window watch by myself. Everybody else had a partner. And I was walking Ashley Street and Davis Street by myself. And that was busy back then.
And I was going to say, just for context, because I know that I've heard my older relatives talk about Ashley and Davis. Tell us what Ashley and Davis was back then.
That was the night spots. That was like Times Square in New York. Yeah, everybody was there. Like Florida Avenue. Florida Avenue was the big street for having fun. And that's what Ashley and Davis was. All the bars and nightclubs was on Davis, on Ashley. And so it was busy. And but I had to work by myself. I was told later I had a call of a rape in the alleyway on Madison, on Church Street, right out off of Madison. Well, and then one guy came out and told me, pointed that way, and I went down into the alley to see could I find the rapist. And when I went in the alley, 2 shots rang out and hit the wall behind me. Wasn't nobody being raped.
Oh my goodness.
You ever seen Serpico? Well, I was Serpico.
Yeah.
They couldn't make no money with me.
Yeah.
So they gonna get rid of me.
Wow.
That's a true story. That happened. But I survived it.
Yeah.
It was rough out there then. But it got better.
Through all of that, did you feel like there was anyone that you could talk to or anyone that would help you through that type of situation?
I used to always talk with did you know Clarence Barton?
Yes, I didn't know him, but I know who he is.
William Harris. Those guys were down-to-earth guys. And if you had a problem, you could go to them and they would put you on the right path, tell you what you need to do and what not to do. Lieutenant Williams, he was right on time, dead on time. When you had problems, he'd tell you, now you can't do this or you can't do that, you need to do this. And he would put your head on the right. So you wouldn't get yourself in too deep.
Yeah. And I know back then, so we have the Brotherhood now, but back then when the Brotherhood initially started, it wasn't the Brotherhood, it was the Negro Savings Club. Am I correct? And
I don't remember.
I believe it was the Negro Savings Club, but some of those people were involved in that. And this was one of the reasons why they formulated that organization, was so they could kind of mentor and help young officers to get through situations like this.
Oh yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to turn to this picture here, and I don't know what year this picture was in, but we do know that you were around for 4 or 5 decades, a lot of decades, 6 decades, I believe it was. But I have this picture here, and there's 2 good-looking black gentlemen on it. They almost kind of look something alike.
Yeah, my daughter. Let me tell you something about this picture. This person that's on this picture here, his name is Peter Knox.
I remember Peter Knox.
He was an organist and a singer, and my daughter was on the bus, and she got off the bus to run and see her daddy, and it wasn't me.
It was Peter Knox.
It was Peter Knox.
you all look alike on that picture.
This is a picture.
But that's you on the right-hand side,
That's
correct?
me there, yeah.
Okay, that's you on the right-hand side. And then Peter Knox on the left.
Yeah.
And all those other gentlemen that are in the picture. Now, what unit was that?
That was, we used to call us the Wolf Pack.
I remember the Wolf Pack. So that was a motor unit.
That's a motor unit. And we did a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Those were good guys. All these guys were good guys.
So you guys were the ones that used to go out and get the DUIs and the speeders,
right?
And all that, and you had to have some type of skill handling the bike, right?
Oh yeah, but I didn't. I was a duty driver. I drove the van. I pick up all the drunks.
Oh my goodness!
Made a lot of money doing that.
Oh yeah. So those were the good old days.
We had to go to court. Every one of those people that they arrested, and I put them in that van. My name on that arrest report.
Right.
I'd get subpoenaed to court. Didn't have a thing to say.
Just did the driving.
Just did the driving.
That was pretty smart. Said, I'll be the driver.
Yes,
There's another picture that you have. We don't have it right here in front of us, but there's another picture that you have that I saw. And you had on a different uniform, but you were still a policeman, right?
Yeah, they had a blue uniform before they went to it was a light blue corrections type uniform before they went to the conventional uniform that we got. Oh, this phone ain't ready yet. So
just to show that they didn't always have the dark blue uniform. At one point, you all wore light blue uniforms.
Yes.
And that's something that, like, people in my generation aren't even familiar with. I'm familiar with corrections wearing that light blue shirt, but not the police. So you must have went through several different uniforms throughout the years.
Yeah, here's one.
Ah, okay, there it is. Whoa, that's a sharp looking uniform. That is a sharp. Is that you?
That's me.
Wow. That's a sharp looking uniform.
That was back in the old days. Let me see, can I find you something else?
So, I think when you ended your career with the sheriff's office, you were a bailiff.
Yes.
Yes. So you were still in the dark blue.
Yes.
Yeah. So of all, well, let me back up and ask it this way: How many years were you? I know you were 61 years altogether. How many years did you do at the courthouse?
I was on the street for like 22. So the rest of the years I did.
And then you transitioned over to the courthouse and spent some time over there.
I did, 39 years in the courthouse.
Wow, that is amazing. But for people who think that there's no action going on in the courthouse, that say, oh, they're not real policemen, they're in the courthouse.
That's
plenty of action in the courthouse.
That's a fallacy.
Right? Plenty of action going on in the courthouse still.
We have a domestic violence unit. section in the courthouse, always busy.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, I want to congratulate you again on all the things that you've done, but even more so than that, Mr. Fluker, I want to thank you. I know people all the time say, oh, thank you for your service, and it kind of just something that people say, but I sincerely mean that. Anyone who takes 61 years out of their life to do public service, and especially wearing a badge and a gun, deserves all the respect, all the honor, anything that we can do to show you that we appreciate you. I think society should do that, because it takes a strong person to do a few years of community service, much less 61 years, and then with all that you went through. I know that some of the people that started out with you didn't finish in the end, did they?
No. Of all the people that I worked with when I come on, is all dead. I'm the last one.
Wow.
I'm the last one from that segregated precinct.
Have you seen the difference, the change, the shift? Have you seen that? And just give us your thoughts on it. I'll put it like that.
Well, it's been a good difference, because when we come on, we caught hell. I mean, we couldn't do that. But here's a prime example. Clarence Sullivan and I were the only two blacks in our academy class. There were, I'm going to just say, 30 seats in that class, with 14 seats taken. So the white officers in the class would sit here, and there would be 10 seats more over here and 3 or 4 seats on the front. We couldn't sit in that front, on that front row, even though there was nobody there. We had to sit in the back in that class. And if they ask a question and you didn't know the answer, and you wanted to ask the instructor something, they tell you, put your hand down. You can ask at the end of the class.
So it took a lot of perseverance just to make it through the class.
Oh yeah.
First of all, to get in the class, but
to
then
get
to
in
make
the
it through the
class,
class,
but to get through the class, you had instructors that did not care for you to make it.
What do you say to some of these young people who say, couldn't have been me? I wouldn't have done that. I would have did this and I would have did that.
I say, well, you didn't want your job, and you couldn't have made it if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, because you didn't have nobody to turn to. I tell them that all the time. When I was a training officer, I used to tell them, just do what they tell you to do. Don't take the good parts from people. That's what I used to do. I used to work with guys that I know they were doing something wrong. I didn't take that part from them. I took the good things that I saw them do.
Right.
And I would use it in my career. I enjoyed my career. I enjoyed helping people. I used to volunteer for domestic violence calls.
Volunteer?
Volunteer. They say somebody fighting, I take that call, because I like to run my mouth. I go there.
You could help them.
Yeah, they think I was a preacher when I got through. Because I could relate to some things, you know. I come out of Mixon Town. That's a little section of town over there where everybody was bad. Avenue. Yeah, everybody was bad. I was bad. I just didn't ever do nothing, get in trouble. But I seen a lot of things, and I could relate to a lot of things because I was there. And I used to love to go there and talk and straighten out families, keep them together. I've had people come up to me before I retired and tell me, man, you saved my life. I appreciate you. You're a good man. Yeah. And
that's to me, that's what it's all about.
I was eating the other day at a sandwich shop there on Monument and Beach. That little street, not Monument, but that little street that runs, it's a sandwich shop there.
St. John's, maybe?
On Beach, before you get to the Police Credit Union. It's a sandwich shop right there.
I know the street
before you get up on the expressway.
It's not Monument, but I know exactly where. Art Museum.
Art Museum. And I was sitting there, and some guy say, man, you still on the police force? I said, yeah, still kicking, buddy. He said, I've been knowing you. He said, when I was in the Blodgett home, you used to come through there. You were all right. You was a good policeman. What I used to do was, the guys would be shooting dice out there on the corner, and we come up. We run them off from the dice game, and we let the little children take the money.
Robin Hood.
I tell you, anybody claiming this money? Nobody
claiming it.
No, because they go into jail if they claim the money. So they don't claim it. So we let the little children take it. He said, I was one of them children.
oh, isn't that something? Wow.
Yeah, he sure did.
Wow, that's really a legacy that you have built for yourself. And speaking of your legacy, you have children who have followed behind you that got involved in law enforcement or got involved in working for the police department.
I got two daughters.
Yeah, go call the name because I know you're going to call it.
Oh, yeah. my oldest daughter, Lynette Clinch, she was in corrections for 30-something years.
Yep.
And my baby daughter, Sylvia Bryant, she's in that section where the people be on probation and have to report.
Okay, so they followed you in law enforcement, so you must have done something right.
I tried.
You must have done something right.
I tried.
Anything else? Any stories you want to share with us? Anything else you want to tell us?
I had a dead body, and it been dead 4 or 5 days. I don't know how long it was, but it was in this position. And when they didn't have rescues come pick up people. They had the funeral homes come and get them. Well, when they come at my body, they sent one driver. So that meant I had to help him bring that body out of the house. Well, the house was a 2-story building, and the little narrow steps. Well, the guy put me on the bottom. I'm scuffling with this heavy person, and I'm backing down the stairway, and that man puked. And he puked all over me.
Oh, my goodness.
I was stank for 3 or 4 days.
Oh, my goodness. So
I learned my lesson.
But people don't understand what police officers have to go. You're everything. You were a counselor. You were, you were the mediator. You were the breaking up fights. You were the undertaker. I mean,
we had to do it all.
They just have to do it all.
Yeah, we had to do it all. But I learned a lesson. Don't get on the bottom when you told me one of them dead people.
Don't get on the bottom.
Don't get on that bottom. Make sure you up top.
Oh my goodness. Hilarious. Well, Mr. Fluker, it's been a pleasure. I want to give you an opportunity to say anything that you want to say, because we don't know when we'll get a chance to get you back here. But if there's anything that you want to say about your time as a law enforcement officer, 61 years.
I learned in my 61 years as a police officer that all people are not bad. And
true. So true.
All people are not bad, and you can't judge people by their color.
That's right.
You got bad whites and you got bad blacks, and you judge each person individually. And I got some good white friends. I got some good black friends. Then I got some blacks that I don't want to be bothered with, because that's just the nature of the beast.
That's right. Human nature.
That's the nature of the beast. And I have worked with some good people over the years in that courthouse. I learned a lot. And I was just glad I was able to make it and do my job.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to work for the police department.
And I want to say this before we close out. I was fortunate enough to be invited to a celebration that they did for you at the courthouse a few months ago before you retired. I think it marked your 60th year, so it would have been last year. And the current sheriff was present and presented something to you that morning and gave you his regards on behalf of the sheriff's office. How did you feel about that one?
I was touched.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. It was early. I remember it was early in the morning because I had to get up early to be down there on time. Because one thing about those bailiffs, I ain't gonna say nothing about all y'all being seniors, but y'all get up early.
Oh,
y'all
yeah.
get to work on time.
I ain't never been late.
And I can believe that. Because I was almost late getting to your gathering, but everybody was already there. And I'm thinking, okay.
I always left home in time. If I had a flat tire or needed gas, I get it before I get to work.
That's good advice for young people.
Yeah.
That's good. Matter of fact, do you have any more good advice? I know I asked you before, but that's good advice because so many times we get written up for being late and get mad because we get written up for being late.
There's no reason to be late. You know you got to go to work the next morning. Don't stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning and try to get up at 5 to go to work because your body don't work like that. You need to have your rest so you can get to your job. You need your job.
Yeah.
Get up and get to work on time.
Yeah.
That's one of my big peeves. I used to preach that at my son, so he would always get up and get to work.
On time.
Because if you got a job at 8 and you come there at 9, you late.
That's right. That's right.
You
That's
late.
right.
I work for some good people, man. I tell you, Judge Rules, Judge Arias. Oh, I can't even name them all. I better not even try to name them.
You start, you're going to be in trouble, right?
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I had a
Did
good
you ever
time.
have a bad day? Have a bad day that maybe was caused by somebody else?
You know what I tried to do? I tried to brush off. If you made me mad, I tried to get rid of it before I go with that person. I didn't want to take your issue to somebody else.
Right.
I tried to do away with that. I tried to always maintain a even disposition. I worked hard at it.
Yeah.
Because I used to work with a lot of drunks. Sometimes them drunks I'd be in Hemming Park and they'd be drinking in Hemming Park and the people in the stores and the businesses will want them out of the park and from in front of their door, and they'd be drunk and have wine or whatever. Sometimes I would let them pour the wine out before I put them in jail. Or sometimes I would let them drink the wine and before I put them in jail. Sometimes this is my last bit of wine. I say drink it.
Because it's going to be the last for a while, right?
Yeah, I used to have a good time.
And I remember, speaking of Hemming Plaza, what you're saying makes sense. I remember when I was a little girl, that area used to be packed with nothing but stores where you could shop. And, you know, my mom would take us down there to get our school clothes and things of that nature. Strawberry Fields, Learners, what was it, Birdine's? Not Birdine's.
Diana, and
Mangos, May Cohen's, and all of those stores were down there. So you had, that plaza used to be full of people all the time. All the time. Yeah. So yeah, I can see I think we think about it the way that it is now. We think that everybody that's down there now is just always drunks, which we know that's not the case. But back then it wasn't that way either.
And that park was segregated.
Yes.
They had the bathrooms down in the bottom for the blacks and that white water and that black water. I drunk out that white water one time. And in the 7-Eleven on Liberty Street is where we had our building. And Obie Bowman, one of my partners, he told me, he said, I wonder what that white water tastes like. I said,
did it taste different?
I said, man, you better not drink out that. He said, I'm going to see you, it tastes different. And he drank out that white water. And sure enough, one of them white sergeants saw him. And he got reprimanded for drinking out that fountain.
Wow.
But that's just one of the things that happened. They had black, they didn't have black, they had colored. They had colored bathrooms and white bathrooms. Back then, wasn't no black. That was not a prevalent word then. James Brown brought that word out. But they used to get up in the roll call sometimes, and we have roll call, and they describe on the bolos that we were looking for a nigger male. Not no Negro male, a nigger.
Wow.
They dress it up. But we lived through it. We got by.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. If you've ever been in law enforcement, it's hard to imagine having to go through what you all dealt with back then and still being able to treat people with dignity.
Oh yeah.
When sometimes you yourself probably felt like you were not being treated in a dignified manner.
I used to play golf a lot, and I played golf with some real good people. Real good people. I could name some of them, but I won't. We had a good time together.
Well, again, we thank you for your service.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you came, and we're going to have you back again when we talk about the first 6, because I understand that you knew all of those gentlemen. So we do want to have a conversation about them.
I knew them all but one. I didn't know Charlie C.
He was the one that was killed.
Yeah,
correct?
he got
Okay.
killed.
Right. But we'll definitely have you to come back when we speak about the first 6, because we want to share with everyone as much as we know about those gentlemen. I understand that they were very instrumental in keeping you all level-headed.
Oh yeah.
You know, kind of steering you in the direction and helping you understand how they had made it to where they had made it to by the time you came on. So we'll definitely have you back for that. And if there's anything else that comes up between now and then and you want to come back, just say the word.
Thank you.
We'll be right on back. Is there any closing remarks that you want to make? Anything that you have left to say about your 60? What are you doing now?
Watching television. The Shield, Blue Bloods.
All the police.
Chicago PD. Gunsmoke.
Oh, Lord, you went way back on that one.
All of them.
So you just solving all the crimes on TV.
Yeah.
Well, we are so glad that you made it through your 61 years by choice and not by force. It was something that you always wanted to do, and you proved that by doing it for so long, doing it so well, and being able to leave the sheriff's office with a stellar reputation. I don't know one person that has anything bad to say about Mr. Fluker, whether it be police officer, bailiff, someone in the streets. I don't know anyone that has anything bad to say about you. So to make it through all that you went through and still come out with the legacy that you have, that's amazing.
Thank you.
So I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you. I tried hard.
Well, you succeeded. You did a great job. You succeeded. I know that your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren are extremely proud to carry the last name Fluker.
Thank you.
So thank you again, Mr. Fluker. We appreciate it.
All right.